Hi everyone, welcome to Bible Reading with Ariel. Today we are reading Proverbs chapter 27. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and the sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. The fool's soul loathes a honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. As a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man that wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Your own friend and your father's friend forsake not, neither go into your brother's house in the day of your calamity. For better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. My son, be wise, and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproaches me. A prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. He that blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. A continual dropping in a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever hides her hides the wind, and grasps oil with his right hand. Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Whoever keeps the fig tree shall eat the fruit of it, so he that waits on his master shall be honored. As in water face answers to face, so the heart of man to man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of a man are never satisfied. As the finding pot for silver and the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. Though you should bray a fool in a mortar among wheat with a pestle, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks, and look well to your herds. For riches are not forever, and does the crown endure to every generation? The hay appears, and the tender grass shows itself. The herbs of the mountains are gathered, the lambs are for your clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. And you shall have goat's milk enough for your food, and the food of your household, and for the maintenance of your maidens. There's a lot going on in this chapter, and I want to just go over a couple of the verses. So the first one is verse 4. It says, "Wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy?" So with this one could say that, wrath and anger have reasonings behind them. In most cases, they are reactions to something that has actually happened. And whoever's on the other end of it, they may have a tangible solution to, subdue that anger, wrath. Whereas with jealousy, envy, it's usually, stems from fear and insecurity. Often we become jealous and envious of other people, their relationships, achievements, status, etc. But those thoughts and feelings come only from within. The person on the other end has no control over it, no way of, fixing it. And there's nothing they can do or say to, subdue that usually. So then it's on, that person to then choose to just let it go, choose to let go of fear, and to go before the Lord with those insecurities and ask him to, reveal the truth of the situation. And he always does. So I also want to look at verse 14. It says, "He that blesses his friend with a loud voice rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him." And I find this one interesting. In all the things in this world that could be addressed, being woken up early and obnoxiously is included in the Bible. So I like it because it shows that God is concerned with every little detail. The Bible says that God knows the number of hairs on our head. And in this verse, it's also addressing, those times when we think we are, quote unquote, blessing someone, when really we're just, doing the opposite. And I look at this one as, a warning to not get carried away with, what we want and with every whim and impulse, but rather, stop and consider the other person. And so I also want to look at verse 15 right after it, which says, a continual dropping in a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. So here again, we see the contentious woman. And I would like to point out that, God gave Eve to Adam as a helpmate, not a hurt mate. See what I did there? Please don't misunderstand that we as women were not put on this earth to serve men. But rather to be helpers. And, whatever form that takes, our helping might be in leading and, or it might just be in the background, helping with little things. And, some of us women, we get upset because, the contentious woman appears so much throughout the Bible, at least in the Proverbs. But, if we were to kind of just step back for a second and take a closer look, men are referred to far more. And also keeping in mind that these are writings of King Solomon to his son. Parents, they warn their children about the types of people to stay away from, and it's perfectly reasonable for a father to tell his son to stay away from certain types of women. And, if I ever have a daughter, I'm going to tell her to stay away from certain types of men. And I would also like to point out that, to read the Bible only thinking about the issues of others is really a great misservice to ourselves. When we first, look and deal with ourselves, we are more equipped to see others clearly. And, Jesus talks about this in Matthew 7:5 when he talks about, looking at the plank in our own eye before, being able to see the little speck in someone else's eye. And so I like it where it says in verse 19, where it says, as in water face answers to face, so heart of man to a man. And so that makes me think about, what do people actually see in me? What do I want them to see? Some of us are, really good at hiding things. But at the end of the day, you will be seen. So I'll end it by rereading 23 to 27. It says, be diligent to know the state of your flocks, and look well to your herds. For riches are not forever, and does the crown endure to every generation? The hay appears, and the tender grass shows itself, and herbs of the mountains are gathered. The lambs are for your clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. And you shall have goat's milk enough for your food, for the food of your household, and for the maintenance of your maidens. Now remember, this is King Solomon. He was the son of King David, who was a shepherd in his early years. Now, I can imagine that David, spoke of those days as a shepherd to Solomon and, the importance of that work. And, he could have even taught him to do it. It kind of sounds like he maybe did. And so Solomon's rule, his time as king had mostly peace. But his father David saw a lot of war, and he knew that things could change at any moment. So I see this section of this chapter as, speaking to the importance of staying practical, keeping a level head, and, always being prepared. So that is Proverbs chapter 27. Have a great day, everyone.